Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. The first movie I ever saw Matthew Broderick in was War Games, which was released in 1983. While not Broderick's first movie, War Games was a huge hit. It was the fifth highest grossing movie at the US box office in 1983 and helped pave the way for a long and fruitful career in Hollywood for Broderick. As I mentioned, War Games wasn't Broderick's first movie. His first starring role was in a movie released earlier in 1983 called Max Dugan Returns, in which he co-starred with Marcia Mason, Jason Robards, and Donald Sutherland. This movie is a lot of fun, and I watched it not that long ago, and you know what? I thought it still held up fairly well. Jason Robards is great in it as a man wanted by the law that decides he wants to get to know his grandson, played by Matthew Broderick. In War Games, Matthew Broderick plays David Lightman, a young kid in high school who has a knack for getting into trouble and isn't getting the best of grades. In fact, he'd much rather be hanging out at the local video arcade playing Galaga than sitting at home doing homework. And as he tells one of his biology classmates named Jennifer, played by Ali Sheedy, there are ways around bad grades. And you know what? As a 12-year-old kid in 1983, video games took on a much higher priority for me than homework did, so I completely related with this. It also turns out that David Lightman is a budding computer hacker, and he uses those skills to hack into the school's computer database and change his and Jennifer's biology grades to passing. While at it, he also is hacking into local databases of video game companies so that he can play the games they are working on. Unfortunately, he unwittingly hacks into NORAD's computer, and in his attempt to play a game, he accesses their aerospace defense program and triggers the national defenses of both the US and the Soviet Union to believe that the other country is looking to make a first strike in a global nuclear war. Ultimately, David and Jennifer are apprehended by the authorities, and he helps the computer learn that there are no winners in a global nuclear war, and that the best move itself is not to play, thus shutting down the simulation. This movie is a lot of fun, and Matthew Broderick and Ali Sheedy are both great together in this. As a side note, because of this movie, the United States Congress was inspired to create and keep up to date the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986. They even referenced this movie when the act was announced. It's interesting to note that the screenwriters originally had envisioned Stephen Hawking for a role in this movie and had been going in a slightly different direction with the script. However, he ultimately turned down that role. After the success of War Games, Matthew Broderick went on to be in a number of movies including Ladyhawke, Project X, Biloxi Blues, Glory, and The Producers. However, the role he'll forever be associated with is the John Hughes classic film Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I absolutely love War Games, and while I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I believe I became a huge fan of Matthew Broderick more due to his performance in War Games. What are your thoughts about War Games? I know it's a bit dated, but I still really enjoy watching it to this day. I look forward to reading your comments. Also, I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel, where I talk about movies, music, and TV from the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.